this whole short is about honoring Ellie, really, because he doesn't just run right out and date. It's hard for him, and he has to ask for permission, essentially. And so the whole thing, I thought it would be better to honor Ellie by not going on the date, because he probably just went and had coffee,
right,
and went to the library or something like that,
Bob, congratulations on Carl's Date. It already opened up my emotional spectrum before going into Elemental. It got me, especially being Ed Asner's final performance.
Thank you.
Why did you want this last story with Ed Asner to be about Doug and Carl?
Well, I mean, it's the sixth one in the Doug Days series for Disney Plus, and it was just to go to streamer. And at the end, we decided, well, let's start that tradition of putting a short film in front of our movies, and it went. I was thrilled to hear that. But this one's special because it really tests Carl's ability to honor what his wife wanted, which was to go have a new adventure. Can he do it? This is about grappling with that, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, were there any other Doug Day stories that you contemplated as well?
Sure, there's a ton. But this one felt like a great way to sort of sum up what we've been seeing.
Can you talk about working with Ed Asner both on Up and Doug Days?
Ed was Carl. I mean, Ed is cantankerous and so much fun and very smart. He worked in the 50s, 60s, 70s, TV and movies, and just had a great work ethic. Said what he thought, which is what all senior citizens have earned the right to do. I'm going to tell you what I think, and just it was great, refreshing in that way. Mainly, we just had fun.
Ed has a ton of experience working in this industry for such a long time. What did you learn from him during the process of working with him throughout the years?
His work ethic. He actually injured himself one day and had to go to the hospital and had to get a few stitches. And we thought, well, go home, Ed. You don't need to come back to the recording booth. Nope, coming back. And he gave this great performance for Up. And I think that tenacity is a good reminder.
That's incredible. I never knew that. What do you think Ed brought to the role of Carl that made him so endearing?
Well, he, like a lot of our characters, they're flawed. Like Woody is jealous, but it's Tom Hanks. And Marlin is worried about his son going into the ocean in Nemo, but it's Albert Brooks. He makes that fear fun. And in this case, we knew Ed Asner could make cantankerous, curmudgeonly appealing and fun, and that's what he brought.
Now, Pixar has a legacy of these shorts that tug at the heartstrings. What's been the most surprising or rewarding part of continuing that legacy, especially through Up, the world of Up?
Well, I think it's just been fun to see people who grew up watching it as a kid, just being, so happy to be back in the world with Carl and Doug and Ed Asner's voice, and just living in suburbia, taking care of each other. It's really been fun to see the reaction from people that they love being back with these characters.
Yeah, I think I've seen Up more than any other Pixar film. I absolutely have a soft spot for that movie.
Well, there's a lot of truth. There's truth about grandparents. In our lives, we know our grandparents, we know our parents as they grow older, and we know our pets, we know our dogs, and I think that punches through. We always try to look for the universal truths in anything, and that's what we tried to stuff in there was how a dog behaves, how a senior citizen might behave. But in this case, it was kind of fun because you got to do a dog that wasn't just talking with its mouth, but just, I think we should go over there, and just acting like a real dog would do. And you got to hear what might be a real dog's thoughts.
Right. Yeah. I know that this is Ed's final performance as Carl, but have we seen the last of Doug?
I don't know. And that's for, Pete Docter and I were the architects of Up, especially Pete. And so we'd have to talk about that if we wanted to move forward. It's such a nice closure to things that we're not permitting ourselves to even think that.
Can you talk about balancing the humor and naivete of Doug as well as his insight into Carl's date?
Yeah, it's interesting. As I started writing this, I realized that I was pushing Doug a little bit more sophisticated, and it's like, that felt right. If he was living with Carl and not with those other dogs back with Muntz, he'd start to become more empathetic, more in tune with what humans are. And so the balance is he's a dog, and he's gonna react to things the way any dog would react, give advice like a dog would. But to see the two of them together, it just, I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a charisma between them that forms.
Absolutely, a chemistry that like no other, right? Man's best friend. Do you still want to explore more of the world of Up, like Russell or the other dogs?
Not sure. If a story comes to us, we're always open to things. Russell has moved on. He's an old guy now. He's like a dude. He's in medical school. And so I did use his voice from old clips from Up that were unused for the one episode of Doug Days. So we'd have to think about that. We'd have to, are there actors that could play him? I don't think we'd ever replace Carl. Right. You'd never want to just have a stand-in for Ed Asner. So the answer is, I don't know.
We'll take it as a maybe. Well, it's a maybe, right?
Yeah.
Was there ever any plans to show Carl's actual date?
I thought about that for about 1 nanosecond, and then I realized the importance of this was to show him grappling. This whole short is about honoring Ellie, really, because he doesn't just run right out and date. It's hard for him, and he has to ask for permission, essentially. And so the whole thing, I thought it would be better to honor Ellie by not going on the date. Because he probably just went and had coffee, and went to the library or something like that,
That part is that when he's talking to the picture and says, "You'll always be my girl," that's the part that got to me like the most. It pulled at my heartstrings like no other. I absolutely thought it was beautiful. Is there? What have you learned throughout this process working on Up and then the Doug Days shorts? And what would you want to take with you to any other future project from what you have learned on those projects?
Just include the truths of your characters. Just a senior citizen in a slow-moving chair coming down, and just that ended up being sad to funny to sad again, and it kind of prepared you for what's to come. So always look at just the truths. They don't even have to be funny truths, but how does a dog behave? How does an old man behave? And center on those truths if you can. And that was a good reminder. Yeah.
That's incredible. Look, I absolutely loved this short, and I think it is such a great kind of like farewell to Ed and the character of Carl. Do you have, what are you working on next?
I'm working on something way down the line. So, the sky's the limit. I don't have to limit myself in thinking of plot or character. I can just have fun with it. And can't talk about it yet, but it's down there. It's a couple years away. And in the meantime, I help with other writing and things like that for other shows.
Bob, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Fantastic job. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.